get so mad, there's no controlling me. My thoughts get so bad, I'm like, I might grab a bat, I don't know. My wrath, my blood boils over like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see things.
Jiminy Cricket. Okay, so we got that one working. Good morning, good afternoon. Let's see if we can get a couple shares out. Because I've got problems. Copy. Let's see if Wintus has found her password to her Facebook yet. Other than that, hey Kevin, how you doing, buddy? Sorry about that. Been having an issue. The damned streaming platform did not want to load up and actually stream. So that's a problem. Always a fun one to have. Hey, Marshall Green. How's everyone doing today? And if you haven't already, go ahead and check out the description. You can join the channel for membership, like $4.99 a month, I believe it is. Get some exclusives, you know. Do all the fun stuff. Help the channel out. Help us grow. But let's go ahead and talk about the school board. That's where I got my start on 810. That's, you know, what I started really talking about. And it was a nice period of time that I didn't have to talk about them and their corruption. I remember looking at the 2021 transparency report, which, by the way, is no longer on their website. And I remember seeing points where money was just filtering out of the schools for a very long time. And it was things like after-school programs, paid after-school programs that, you know, someone in town would come up with it, get the credentials or whatever, go into the schools and have these programs ready for the kids, but the kids didn't have to sign in. They're getting paid per head. So you could just sit there and scribble Timmy Johnson there and get a couple bucks for that. That was one of the problems that the schools had. 2022, 2024, that went away. But then Mickey decided to do something weird for us, and he went to the school board meeting this week. Which, by the way, if you like that thumbnail, give me a thumbs up here because I'm the one that made that. Listening to these idiots argue, bitch, moan, and complain for close to 30 minutes about something. Why did it go away, Kevin Berryhill? My older brother, the good Reverend Berryhill. Because Michael Clark was in office, and he was also president for the first year. So he had a very heavy hand in making sure things were not going to go the same way that they had before. Unfortunately, Michael Clark is no longer there. He went on to bigger and better and more beautiful things, or at least he's trying to. So now we're stuck with Tweedledee, Tweedledum, and Tweedle WTF. Listening to them go on for 30 minutes about something that really has no impact on Flint schools. And hear me out before we start getting into Trevor's an idiot, right? This is something we all damn well know. But DEI really doesn't have too much to do with Flint schools. Why? Well, if we take a look at the population, Flint is a majority African-American city. We take a look at the staff. Well, majority of the school board happens to be African-American. The superintendent happens to be African-American. Most of the teachers, most of the staff, including administrative staff, happen to be African-American. This all came into effect before DEI. It isn't some dude that looks like me up there deciding who gets promotions when and where. Okay. So going on a 45-minute tirade about it, 45 minutes to an hour, about how they have to fight it, it felt like smoke and mirrors. It felt like this is the popular argument right now. This is the popular topic, and that's all they could talk about. When in reality, have you really taken a look at how Flint school system is set up? You don't get promoted for being the best. You don't get promoted for, having your students well educated, having your students excited. No, tenure is the deciding factor, how long you've been there. So you could have drunk, grizzled old shop worker who shows up to work daily loaded and grumpy at the kids. The kids are not excited to go to his classroom. The kids don't even care to be there. They want to avoid it. His is the class that most kids will skip. And when a position becomes open, either for a raise or a new, say, a higher teaching level position or even principal, if he's been there the longest, he gets it, as long as he has the following credentials. Whereas new, bright, and shiny teacher comes in and is super excited, gets the kids excited, happy to come to class, motivated, spends their own money on the kids like every teacher does. Okay. Test scores go up. That teacher cannot receive a pay raise or upgrade in position until everyone that has been there prior has. You want to see a difference in the teaching of our students? You start doing merit-based promotions and merit-based pay raises instead of tenure-based. But get this checked out. This isn't just a Flint problem. This happens to be something that goes on nationwide thanks to teachers' unions, which, don't get me wrong, unions are great. They do wonderful things for their employees. They make sure that they're protected, but sometimes they overstep, such as like this. And I understand the premise of it. From the beginning, it was to make sure that favoritism doesn't happen. But now you have people leaving the teaching sector because they cannot get an upgrade in their living circumstances because they have not been there as long. When you have a school system such as Flint, where you don't have teachers really at all, where you've got learning professionals or ad hoc people without credentials who have not gotten their teaching certificate because teachers don't want to go in there, there's no way to incentivize them now because they are locked in this pattern. I want you to think about that for a minute. We can't attract new teachers to Flint, Michigan, because there's no chance for growth until the other ones either retire, die, or get promoted up. And in this case, it is failing upward. Let's take a look at the statistics of our Flint children and how well they are learning. 4th grade reading level, sub 3rd grade math level, 5% graduating class. Can you imagine looking at a class of kids, seeing 30 of them, and 5% is less than one kid? You may look at a class of kids in 3rd grade and realize that none of them are going to graduate. And then I kept hearing them talk about college ready. How are you going to be college ready if you can't damn well read? These kids think that writing happens to be text messaging with everything abbreviated and shortened. And this is not fully on the teachers, mind you. A lot of this happens to fall on the school board, because who sets the blessed curriculum? Who sets the curriculum? Well, city school board, state school, yeah. They get money from federal. But so school board isn't setting the curriculum to where these students actually can perform. They're not incentivizing teachers to help these children perform. You don't have results-based outcomes. You don't have a way for these children or for these teachers to motivate these children. Like, hey, if the teacher's motivated, maybe they'll motivate the kids. Hey, if you can get some high schoolers to understand and comprehend above their grade level, you might be in for a promotion. You might be in for a pay raise. That seems to be a large problem here. But they are sitting there clapping themselves on the back, saying that this is the most stable and the best school leadership that they've had in a long while. No, they have cowards. They are happy because they have a bunch of spineless, narrow-backed sons of bitches. We can't talk about closing the schools because that's a community resource. No, that is a liability. Those schools cost money to keep there, even if no one's using them. And then you have these idiot urban explorers that come in from out of town knowing that most of Flint is a damn ghost town, go tripping through these schools, get hurt, and sue the schools. Have kids who, naturally curious, go into these old abandoned schools, get hurt, sue the schools. They are a liability. They're really happy with a $750,000 grant to renovate Flint Central. Okay. To renovate that building, you're probably looking at about $5.5 to $8 million to have it ready for students. But the plans that they had presented show a whole new building and a whole new campus. So to tear down that school, you're probably looking at about $4 to $8 million, because if there is no asbestos in there, which I highly, highly doubt, if there is no other hazardous or toxic materials in there, which I highly, highly doubt, you have a building that has been open to the elements for years. You still have to take hazardous controls of materials because black mold, things of that variety. And they're happy with $750,000. And then they're going to try to build a new campus. That's going to cost between $10 and $15 million. These people are so set on spending your money, your tax money, residents of Flint, that they lose sight of what is actually tenable and actually able to be done. It is so mind-blowing to me that they are not up there every damn meeting freaking out about the low test scores. If you take a look at a school as a corporation, what product do they make? They make either labor-ready students or they make either college-ready students. Right now they're making neither. Because if you can't read a damn screen at McDonald's telling you what to make, you're not going to catch that job. If you can't read something simple as the Red Badge of Courage, you're not ready for college. If you can't read an operator's manual for a welder, you're not ready for trade school. The only thing that these schools really are right now is a blessed daycare center. And they were sitting up there excited for $750,000. But they couldn't spend more than 2 minutes on a man trying to kidnap one of their students. There is no safety standards in Flint Community Schools. They were less excited to talk about that. They were less motivated to talk about that than things that did not matter. It was smoke and mirrors. And they had to spend so much time on something that they figured that their voting constituents, the parents, would actually care about. On something that does not actually affect them. Let's be completely serious here. Because at the end of the day, Flint has gotten its teachers, its principals, its administrative staff, its board, and its superintendent without DEI. And once again, DEI doesn't actually do what it says it's going to do. The people who benefited the most off of DEI, quite literally, is white women. You can do a quick Google search. Actually, hell, I will do a quick Google search for all of us. Nope, wrong way. Damn it. Ah, there you go. Spotlight. Who benefited the most from DEI? White women have been the biggest beneficiaries of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in the workplace. However, DEI programs are intended to help many groups, including people of color, LGBTQ+, looks like they took a couple letters off, individuals, and people with disabilities. Okay. So that was settled. How do I get this thing to, like, stop spotlighting me? Where's my just normal frame? There we go. So, a big show and big gruff about something that isn't actually helping majority of the people that it's supposed to help. Talking about suing. Okay, look, if you don't like the current administration, that's fine, and I fully support you in that. I didn't like the last administration, and I felt a lot of support from people on the other side of the aisle, so I understand, right? But something that is not doing what it's supposed to be doing isn't worth spending the money that the Flint Community Schools gets, because let's face it, they receive some of the most funding per student in the state of Michigan, and it gets pissed away. I don't know what the hell they do with that money, because they have school books in there from when I was a kid. Mind you, I didn't even attend Flint schools, but when I was a kid, books in there from, and those books were there during the fucking Carter administration. And they're worried about this. They want to jump onto a lawsuit. Don't you think you might have a few better things to be worrying about? How about kids understanding science? How about kids being motivated? If you go ask these kids today what they want to be when they grow up, how often do you hear doctor? How often do you hear actress? How often do you hear scientist, astronaut? Things that actually change the world. You don't. Influencers, which I know it's kind of hypocritical for me sitting here on YouTube talking about kids wanting to be influencers, but someone's got to say it. It is a dog-eat-dog world out here. And if you don't have something to bring to the table, if you can't articulate yourself properly, if you can't get your thoughts in order, if you can't see things differently, it is a rough world to be in. Number two, YouTube is already oversaturated. The chances of getting monetized are nil. It took Mickey Wintis and I over 3 years of doing this to get monetized, and I'll be honest with you, the money ain't it. So why don't we see our kids wanting to be actors and actresses? Well, if you take a look at some of my favorite YouTubers, such as The Fat Electrician, he actually writes a whole ass script. He reads it, recites it, gets through with it, hyperactive and all, for his 30-minute to hour and 10-minute episodes. His 30-minute episodes have a word count of over 20,000 words. Having to memorize that and pronounce it properly, being able to read a lot of the large words he does, happens to be outside of the grasp of a lot of Flint students. And it isn't the students' fault, because the students are not dumb. The students in Flint, the ones that would come to my house, my kids would go to school, bring their friends back, some of the brightest kids I've ever met. But they are not being stimulated and properly taught at school. They have decided to move away from everything that actually makes a workforce, a college student a college student. And this isn't just a problem in Flint. It is a problem in Detroit. It is a problem in Jackson. It is a problem in Tallahassee. It is a problem in Dallas. It is a problem in Odessa. It is a problem in Midland. It is a problem in Sacramento. We are not getting our kids where they need to be. Karen Malone, you're slightly older than me. Take that with all the love and respect in my heart. When you were going through school, you were taking calculus, algebra, all those fun things before you graduated, correct? Me, I barely had to pass algebra. Our kids can't even look at an algebra problem. They see X and they're starting to wonder when the ABCs started dating the 1, 2, 3s, okay? Our education system is broken, and nothing exemplifies it more than Flint, because they get money and they don't put it into the students. They don't focus on student-based outcomes. Flint is middle of the pack at best. No, back of the pack, middle back of the pack when it comes to student outcomes in Michigan. If we go to greatschools.com and we go find Flint, Michigan. Most of your higher rated schools happen to be charter. We've also got, I've never heard of Nethercutt Elementary, but there it is. DTM, of course, DTM, because it is one of the only schools in the area that has special education, or whatever the new fun word for it is this week. Pierce is low scoring. Eisenhower's low scoring. And you see the school board getting upset at things like charter schools and private schools. But parents are fed up. Why are you going to send your kid to a daycare when they need to be learning how to take care of themselves in the future? Need to be learning skills and practices to advance their own life, instead of playing patty cake, instead of talking about who the teacher's dating. These are things that our kids need to be learning. Who cares who the teacher's sleeping with? Who cares about the backroom gossip? Does my kid know how gravity works? What gravity is? Does my kid know that gravity actually warps light? Does my kid understand certain writing principles? Can my kid put forth an essay on a book that they have read, understanding the book in an MLA format? If the answer is no to any and all of these, then the teachers are failing. If the teachers are failing, it isn't just on them, because they're only using the resources that they have. So then that means whoever's passing the resources is failing. That would be the school board. That'd be the superintendent. And Mama Quill always hitting the nail on the head. We have been accepting less than adequate teaching, and this is the result that we get, not putting all the blame on the teachers. Yes, 100% that is the next part. We as parents need to be looking at the schools, and we need to be asserting ourselves. Hey, first off, it starts at home. Get your kid either motivated about school, and if you can't do that, then you're just going to have to browbeat them. Why aren't you doing your homework? What are your grades? Where are you going? You're going outside with a D-? No, you're staying inside. You're studying. Once you finally start getting your act up as a parent and you don't see your child's scores raising, then you have to go to the school. And don't be afraid to be a hard ass with your kids. You're their parent, not their friend. Little Timmy, why aren't you doing your math homework? Oh, you don't understand it? Great, go get it. We'll sit down and do it together. Oh, you don't want to? Well, too bad. I'm your dad, not your friend. Once you've done all that, now you can go to the school and say, hey, little Timmy's test scores aren't improving. Little Timmy isn't understanding. What are you doing in this class? Okay, let us take a look at your teaching style, at your examples. I'd like to sit in on one of your classes, which you as a parent have every right to do. Once you find out if there's a problem there, then you start working up the ladder. But it shocked the hell out of me that no one, every time that there's a school board meeting, no one goes up there and starts talking about the kids' test, the kids' anything. I heard, I think it was Joyce Ellis McNeil. Say, we received so much in ESSER funds and not a cent of it went back. That's terrific. You spent it all on what? Do the kids have new books? Do you guys have heating and cooling? Is it cold in the winter? Do you guys have heating for the kids? Because it's kind of hard to concentrate when you're freezing your ass off. Do you have AC in the summer? Because it's kind of hard to concentrate when you're passing out. No. To be honest, they don't know. They don't know what they spent the money on. And I hear a lot of this, oh, well, community this, community that. Shut the hell up, Dylan. How about you make sure kids are learning? Until then, community can just back up. The community is the city's problem. And yes, the city is failing left and right, but that is not your problem. Your problem is to make sure that children are growing. This is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. And they were happy. They were proud of their work. Are you kidding me? You are proud of failing. I guess some people really can fail up in life. Because, watch, 2026 comes, a lot of that board ain't going to be there. A lot of that board is going to be looking at other positions. Dylan Luna's already got his eyes out elsewhere. Melanie Relaford already got her eyes out elsewhere. I'm actually willing to bet she's about to run for state rep. Claudia Perkins, well, hell, she tried running for Flint City Council before. She's going to try again. She's finally got a position now, so now she has something to step up with. Mark my words. When these folks on the school board are using the school board as a means to further their own careers instead of actually taking the job seriously, you have a problem. And it isn't just a problem with them, it's a problem with voting. Whoever says the prettiest, most flowery speech, whoever uses the most big words, whoever can... How about we just hear plans of action? I don't care if you can recite all of Lincoln's third speech. How about you tell me what you're going to do in your position, whether it be as governor or as state rep or as a Genesee County Commissioner, Flint City Council person, school board. Give me a plan of action that you plan to implement and impose to make sure things are getting done for the people. I've already heard at least Maurice Davis's. He has told us what he wants to do. Maurice has sat there. I want to freeze taxes on seniors. Okay, that's a plan. Wants to make sure that property taxes don't go up. Okay, that's a plan. Wants to get back to the water, make sure that that is getting fixed. Okay, that's a plan. Hey, 3 points. There we go. Whereas everyone else, I hear these great buzzwords that mean absolutely nothing. The paper that is written on might as well be used to wipe your ass. We'll see in the coming year who's going to be running for what. Actually, probably about mid-year this year, toward the tail, you'll start seeing people saying, I'm running for this, I'm running for that. And we'll start hearing all these wonderful catchwords, all these buzz phrases and stuff. Not a single damned one of them is going to have an actual plan. They're just looking at a paycheck and advancing themselves. As Snow likes to call it, well, they like to dance around a question of an absolute definitive plan. What is your plan? They'll dance around it. We saw earlier this week Hasselbring. What was the plan? And this isn't me talking negative about Hasselbring, mind you. Because the seniors there, all they could do is put their faith in others. Ms. Rose, all she could do is raise awareness and put her faith in others. So what was the plan? Get Milhouse. Okay. What did Milhouse do? He failed. The man was so blind that when he was given a lifeline, he reached the other way. He was looking for Bart to save his ass. So now that's done. There's really nothing else to say. Everyone was making a big stink about it, and yet no one really did anything. The only person I saw hustling their ass off was Rosemara. Not only was she going from podcast to podcast, Facebook page, even knocking doors, making signs, trying to get people involved, she was the only one really doing it. We had several folks pop up and Hasselbring. Okay. What else are you doing other than just pulling up your phone and typing it? We saw City Council decide last minute, the very last damn minute, to come up with a special council meeting. Okay. Why wasn't this done months ago? You don't have to have the teacher's permission to start up a special council meeting. And here's the fun part. At a special council meeting, you make the agenda. This could have been done in October, November, December, January. Instead, it was done earlier this week. And you don't even have to have quorum, as they showed earlier this week. You can just let people speak their mind and then speak yours. An informal meeting, as it were. And you can do this several times. Hey, what do you know? You've just built a case for the judge. Your Honor, we have called several special city council meetings to resolve this issue. Unfortunately, we could never get quorum. Therefore, we believe the city has failed in its duty or in its responsibility. I guess some people are too busy with the podcast. It's fine. It's fine. I wish the best to the folks from Hasselbring. I hope, you guys do find a new area for a new senior center, because you were definitely the heart of that community. But I hope this resounds with you, too, as a learning lesson. One, you can't trust anyone to come and save you. You should have known that from the get-go. It is a senior center. You're all elders. You should know. Number two, voting has consequences because the person that you guys put in that office turned on you. And I hope you never make that mistake again. And third ward, you should be watching this because Leon is redistricting into your ward soon. So just let it be known. The man has no loyalties. That's fine. However you vote is up to you. Just don't complain when it turns out that it blows up in your face. Especially with something like this. And I know I'm going to get a bit of hate for it. Especially my callous nature on it. I can't care. I'm not there. And I love the folks there to death. But even when I did live in Flint, that wasn't in my ward. My vote had nothing to do with that. I'm still fighting with the person I gave my vote for. And the fact that the people that were elected to care didn't should show you everything you needed to know. Mama Aquill, Miss Rose is one of the gems in the city of Flint. One of the few. Of course, Miss Talbert here. There is no honor among thieves. You have to watch your left, right, front, and back. Just back yourself into a corner. And there really is no movement in Flint. Have you guys noticed how stale it is? Everyone comes up and promising change or catchy catchphrase. Well, crime is still up and climbing. Blight is still up and climbing. Okay. Water's still jacked. Okay. Your roads are still horrible. And it was like this when I moved there in 2016. And if you continue at your current rate, it'll be like this when I die in 2055, 2065 maybe, if I'm lucky, but Flint will still be the same. Nothing new under the sun happens to describe Flint beautifully. I call Mickey most days before 7 a.m. And I've noticed that our conversations always go back into the same pattern. We always talk about the same things because the same things never get fixed. We always talk about the same people because the same people are always the same problem. And I have no problem with this because, hell, Mickey's one of my best friends. And honestly, whatever we talk about happens to be fun at the moment. But I've noticed that our conversation never changes. Unless it's talking about 810 and how to grow and improve 810, the problems of Flint are the same problems of Flint that it faced in 2014. In many ways, it's the same problems of Flint that were faced in 1990. A lack of jobs being key among them. A lack of policing. A lack of give a damn in your governance. I really don't think that Flint has had a mayor that was worth anything, worth their salt, in decades. Nothing new, nothing grand. Hell, not even a new problem to complain about, really. It's just continuations of old ones. The corruption has been there for years. And unfortunately, it's just now becoming more and more known because groups like us, 810, or Snow, or whoever may peek into Flint for a once-a-year podcast on it, showing the corruption there to their audience. It's funny how blind everyone was to it. Just like earlier this week, the mayor turned off the council feed. Actually, if you go look for it, it doesn't exist at all. It was deleted. Members of city council were notified during the council meeting that the mayor had shut off the feed. Because he didn't want people seeing how corrupt everything is. Or putting him in a bad light. Now, I don't know if that goes against Open Meetings Act or not. I'm not a lawyer. Never professed to be. However, it does feel pretty dirty. Thankfully, there are independents there who go ahead and film anyway. So, shout out to Mickey. Sometimes I'm at a loss for words when it comes to Flint. Because it is probably the one place I settled down the longest once I became an adult. And the saddest part is that if that is my longest stretch of stability, and if that was the most that I have known as an adult, then I've really got a piss poor example going anywhere else. Hell, I could go to Tucson. And I would be happy just knowing that there's running water that won't kill me. When that is your stock and standard, you might be in trouble. When your stock and standard is, well, they might be corrupt, but at least they don't put it out in my face, you might have a problem. I mean, older brother here, Odessa, just had a issue with some of its corruption, and everyone was absolutely shocked. Okay. But you see some of the corruption for what it is at face value when it happens in Flint, and no one bats an eye. You could see 2 checks with council members' names on them from someone who has a vested interest in coming into Flint and getting something passed by council. And you don't even get a judge to take a second to look at it. You can't even get Prosecutor Layton off his ass to go look at it. You can't get the cops to go look at anyone elected. Now, let's see, Stephanie. There are laws to the recordings. Bay City recently wrote a resolution to have live streams deleted right after streaming. Residents mad at them trying to hide the buffoonery. Well, here's what I can tell you. Let me... 4K video downloader. If you happen to use a PC, like me, where's share my screen? I happen to recommend 4K video downloader. Nice, simple to use, and it's about where I get everything else. That is literally what I do for half of my videos. I will go download something, cut it up, do what I need with it. Thanks to this. So, if you feel that certain council meetings may be getting deleted, I'd use that. Maybe get yourself an external hard drive. What do you know? I happen to have one right here. So you can keep your own records. Because you can't trust the city's records. You can't trust really anyone else's records. I've gone deep diving looking for things that were said and done at council, and those videos have been deleted before. And we've all known this. Hell, Paul's deleted shit before. And no one cared. Snow, I'd recommend... You can pick up a decent one at Best Buy, sub $1,000, come with a 4060 graphics card, which you won't even need. The bigger thing is a CPU, so anything with a either i7 or higher. And then try to get something with the M.2 drive, because it reads faster. I mean, I've got 3 terabytes on my computer. A lot of it is taken up now by video recording or video saving, because I can't trust the records in Flint. Like I said, we've seen people delete city council meetings before, or if they can't delete it, then what they would do is they'd put a block up. They just change the feed real quick to not show something. And that's just blatant corruption that somehow everyone in Flint was okay with. It'd come with about 16 gigs of RAM, which is more than enough for most things. I run 32, but everyone was absolutely fine with Paul doing what he had done. Maybe a few here that watch 810 were upset, but everyone else just goes, oh, that's par for the course. You know, that kind of reminds me of 1990s Russia, as disgusting as it may be. when you have to equate your city to a corrupt third world nation, you might have a problem. Which, you've heard me say it before, and I'll say it again. I don't endorse re-electing anyone on city council, nor the mayor. You need a clean sweep through and through. And the problem is the city is so divided as it is that you're still going to get people from one camp or another in that seat. That's actually the worst part about it. You can't get an actual clean sweep. You can get new faces, but it's still going to be the same votes and the same personalities. They're going to still be in the same camp, either the Neely camp or the Weaver camp. You're never going to get anyone that is actually neutral and new. Anyway, guys, I've got some things to do this afternoon. So, if you haven't become a member already, go ahead and click in the description. We got exclusives coming up. Mickey's got some stuff planned. Mr. Elliott comes on. I don't know if it's today or Sunday. Sometimes he switches up. And then keep an eye out for Justice Unlocked on Tuesday with Ms. Jewel. And obviously next week we've got the morning bump from Monday to Friday as always. And any meetings, well, Mickey's more than likely going to be there at the camera, so you don't have to rely on Paul's feed. You guys have a wonderful day. Please stay safe, keep warm since you're all up north in the middle of a snowstorm, and I will catch you in the next one.